Hey guys, um, today's little video is going to be, uh, sorry. Today's little video is going to be, going over Obsidian, which is where I have everything for Burrowtale. So, see, what is Burrowtale right here? Obsidian is something that can be used for, oh, what is it? Obsidian is something that is generally used for, like, D&D notes and stuff. Um, but while I am in some, you know, D&D, Sebastian, sorry, my cat jumped up on my desk. While I am in some D&D campaigns, I am not the best at taking notes because I normally have to, kind of like I can't sit and focus on one thing. It is very difficult for me to do that. So normally while I'm playing stuff and while I'm doing, D&D campaigns and everything, I will 9 times out of 10 be also doing something else. So I'm not great with taking notes. However, something that is really nice that I enjoy is how easy it is to get everything kind of set up. So it's like with this, if I hit this button, it starts with what is Burrowtale, and then it pops off with Crystal, who was the character that kind of started it all. And then everything just gets added and it just expands. I love the lines between everything. I love the colors, which I just figured out I could do because the colors like show you kind of what's grouped up with what, and then all of the other characters get it added in, different areas, and all that. So this video is going to be kind of like what the an actual first what the Foox says, which is just me talking about stuff, and it's going to be Burrowtale. Um, this video is just going to be me talking about this, and gonna start off with what is Burrowtale. Burrowtale is an AU that I had a very rough idea for years ago, probably about a decade, in all honesty. When I first got into Undertale after watching Jacksepticeye play it. Um, Mark and Jack, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye were the first YouTubers I think that I really got into. Like, I've been fans of them for years. And technically, after Unisonis, which, if you know, you know, uh, after the Redacted channel, um, I wanted to do something like this. I wanted to do something where I would upload a video every single day, where every day there would be something. And I wanted to make a community that every day they didn't know what was going to happen each day. Something, something maybe a little bit new, a little bit interesting. And I wanted my community to, I'm trying to think, I wanted to make a community where people were happy, where people knew that it'd be a safe space for them, where they didn't have to worry about going in and either being ignored, getting called names, bullied, anything like that. I want my community to be a safe space. And that was kind of Mark and Jack's communities, I guess. And Undertale, which was, I think, in all honesty, besides like creepypasta, I think Undertale was the first actual like fandom I got into, like invested into. I was invested in all of the different AUs, all the different characters. I was drawing a whole bunch of stuff. Undertale was my first cosplay. Undertale was the first time I cosplayed. And if you manage and end up finding my Facebook, you'll see what I mean. I have a picture of me and my little sister on there. Sebastian, stop trying to eat my fucking lights, you dumbass. My my cat, the black cat, is currently sitting behind my second monitor, eating the LED lights, trying to eat the little strip lights that I got that I put around like the edge of my computer. Um, but Sebastian, stop messing with shit. Um, but Undertale was my first cosplay. I cosplayed Undyne, and I got a blue long sleeve shirt and a purple sweater, and I had the blue long sleeve shirt, and I put that on my little sister, and then I wrapped the purple sweater around her waist because we didn't have like a purple scarf or a belt or anything. I just wrapped that sweater around her waist, and I tied it on the side so that the tie couldn't be seen to make it look like a stripe going across her stomach for the sweater. Um, I absolutely loved it. I was very happy. Um, and that was my first cosplay. I had construction paper and I put it on a curtain rod. I had an extra curtain rod because I had to get new curtains for my windows in my bedroom. And I got construction paper, taped an arrow to it, and I painted the pole. I think I painted the pole blue for the spear. And I just had a black tank top, some jeans, boots that I still have. I still have the boots that I'm fairly certain I wore in that cosplay. And then it was a pair of jeans and a black tank top. And then my hair at that time, when I think that was high school, my hair was all, I had my hair like half shaved and it was red on the longer side. So I pretty much already looked it. I didn't have to get like a wig or anything. I didn't do any makeup. It was just that. And I was so happy with it. I was so happy with it. I loved it. Um, but I've done a lot of art. I want to try and see if I can go back and maybe find one of my older sketchbooks. I might have some of my older ones that I can find with all of my old Undertale art. I'll go back and look, and if I can find it, I'll take some pictures that I can kind of put in. I can transfer to my computer and possibly pop them up in a video. Or shit, I might take some pictures and learn how to edit and pop them in here. I don't know if I can. I don't fucking know. Um, but uh, it was also the first time that I had actually made an OC. It was my first time making an original character that I created a whole bio. I was drawing them constantly. Um, and her name was Crystal, or Chris. She was a monster human hybrid, which talk more about Chris in a minute. Um, but the rough idea that I had was kind of along the lines of like a bunker or apocalyptic AU. Um, where something happened to the original underground and all of the monsters were forced further underground, hence the name Burrowtale. This would have taken place before Kara and any of the other humans fell down, making Chris the first human of that world, of that universe. Which would mean Asriel is still alive, so there is no Flowey right now. Uh, Queen Toriel, and King Asgore are still together, and W.D. Gaster is still the royal scientist. Um, so I will take a pause here and pop over to Crystal, because the way this works, it's like, oh, if someone's reading it, like if I actually share the Obsidian file so people can read everything, these links, you can set up a link. So it's like her name was Crystal or Chris. You can click that and it'll pop you over to the character and what's written up for that character. Um, so as of right now, Crystal is 23. She is female. She is a fox or kitsune monster with a human hybrid, and her soul color is purple. Um, Chris is technically the character that started my idea of the Burrowtale AU, and she was my first really fleshed out OC that I had ever made. And like I said, I think it's probably close to a decade ago now. In all honesty, I'll have to go back and look at my Facebook to see when I had posted that little cosplay thing, but fairly certain it's almost a decade ago, if not an actual decade. Um, so da, 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 da. um, it's kind of funny because my character now, Foox, the Foox character, what I have as my Discord reactive, kind of looks like what Chris would have looked like. In all honesty, I had imagined orange and brown, the orange and brown hair with the fox ears, and then the tail and everything. In all honesty, that's kind of what Chris would look like. Um, I gotta go back and redraw stuff, find stuff, all that fun shit. But her mother is human, and her father was a fox type monster. Um, so like the other monsters, he was just an anthropomorphic fox, pretty much, and mother was human. Her father, Niku, was a doctor. His magic and special abilities were mainly focused around healing, though he did have some telekinetic abilities as well. Her mother, Elizabeth, wasn't the best person. She was very controlling, and her feelings for Niku were mainly fueled by his social standing and the income he was getting from being a doctor. After the monsters were forced underground, Niku became a recluse, staying hidden in their home and never leaving for fear of his own safety. So, they were together for a while before the war. So, this is still technically or starting off, this was when the monsters were still up on the surface before the war and they were all, locked in the underground. Crystal was born just a few months after the war, and her mother was furious when she realized that Crystal wasn't just human. She was a hybrid, mostly human, though she had the fox-like ears and tail. Niku had to fully take care of Chris, as Elizabeth had essentially ignored the child's existence. Chris was of course homeschooled, being taught essentially everything by Niku, save for a few things that she'd learned by reading books and watching shows with him. When she was about 10, when her mother and father had gotten into an argument, and after what felt like an eternity of them yelling at each other, it went silent. Chris went downstairs to find her father, now a pile of ash, sitting there scattered on the floor, with her mother standing over it, holding a knife. Elizabeth then tried to attack Crystal, forcing Chris to defend herself. It ended in Chris running away with only a small bag of her most important belongings, including a container that she'd put her father's dust into. She ran as quickly as she could, running to the place she was told if something like this happened, Mount Ebot, Mount Ebot, Mount Ebott, where the monsters were. she would be safe. So, mom wasn't great. Dad was a monster. Mom was controlling, gold digger, all that fun stuff, and ended up killing her father and was going to kill her, but Chris was able to knock her mother unconscious after a little bit of fighting. She was able to knock her mom unconscious and run for it. While making her way down into the mountain, she slipped, falling down to the ground where she was later found by Prince Asriel, who brought her to his home in the ruins with Queen Toriel and King Asgore. So that part's all still, kind of following the line of Asriel found the human, takes him to the ruins, blah blah blah, where they took care of her like she was their own daughter. She went through the underground, spending her time learning more about monsters, meeting everyone down there, and quickly becoming friends with everyone. She would spend time learning about combat with Undyne and Papyrus, learn more history with Alphys, and Sans would help her learn her magical attacks and abilities. Gaster had taken a very special interest in Chris, given her soul was a mix between human and monster. Her soul is purple because my first thought was human soul, red, determination, right? And then her monster soul would have been like a. My first thought, her monster soul would have been a like a light blue, like a crystal, pretty much like a shimmery blue, and red and blue make purple. That's literally it. Red and blue make purple. So there's that. Um, Even her soul was a mix between human and monster. She would do different tests using her soul, most of them being painless, but occasionally there were some that were more straining, leaving her weak and drained, having to rest for a day or so before she felt better. It wasn't specifically bad. Like, Chris was okay with it. She kept going back and letting him do the tests and everything, mainly because Gaster, at that point in the beginning, was trying to figure out if Crystal could break the barrier on her own. Because you need a monster and human soul, because her soul is a mix of the two fused together. She's technically already a fusion. So he was trying to do research to see if she could break the barrier by herself and set everyone free without kind of having to take another monster, having to wait for another human, that sort of thing. Even though they hurt, she knew it was for the best. She wanted to help monsters like her father did. So she would also work with Gaster and use her magic to help make medicine like her father did before. So pop over to Niku real quick. Crystal's late father. He was well known in the monster community, worked with W.D. Gaster, who helped him with making physical medicines using Niku's healing magic. He was also known as the Royal Doctor, working directly under Asgore. Okay, back to Crystal. When everyone, okay. So, I'm gonna pop back here. When Chris was 15, Gaster, so after about 5 years of being there in the underground, meeting everyone, learning a whole bunch of different things and everything, her soul was strong enough to get through the barrier. They found Gaster found out and realized that she was able to break the barrier because of her soul. So she did. She kept working to make her soul stronger so that she would be able to fully break the barrier. And she did. She wanted to prove that monsters weren't bad, that they shouldn't be feared when she went up to the surface. She went up, she took a couple. She hadn't even taken any other monsters with her. She went alone because she was worried that they would attack again. And she knew that with her magic and with some of the things that she'd been learning from Sam, like being able to have some minor teleportation, it has to be a place that she has seen before. But I still gotta type up everyone's attacks and abilities and everything, so I gotta do that. But, um, very minor teleportation. Um, so she had figured that if she got attacked, she would be able to just teleport back. But it wasn't that easy. Um, the humans immediately fought back, refusing to listen to anything Chris had said. And after fighting her, they ended up leave. They ended up kind of leaving her on the verge of death. She was about to die, but before that, they threw her back down into the underground to essentially send a message. Um, and that message was that they will make sure this doesn't happen again. Um, so with that, uh, the humans worked together to make a toxic gas that they could pour into the underground to kill the monsters. After some research, it was given the name Lilioxin, and while it was lethal after prolonged exposure, it would generally just make the monsters ill. With proper care, most monsters would heal after just resting for a few days, but the weaker monsters, the ones that were older or fragile, were more at risk for not making. And there were a few monster types that had stronger resistances to the gas, mainly being those that didn't exactly need to breathe, like skeletons and ghosts. And since the gas was created with the targets being monsters, it didn't affect Chris as much either. So Lilioxin is mainly a kind of respiratory issue. Um, Shortly after it filled the underground, W.D. Gaster was able to collect samples of it for testing to figure out just what exactly it was, what it was made of, what made it toxic, what all it could cause, and how to cure the sickness. He quickly found out that the main component of it was lilies, given the name lilioxin. Beautiful flowers that were mainly found on the surface. They were mainly just toxic if eaten, but there were a few other components that were added to it that made it lethal respiratory. So if that made it into a gas that could affect monsters and everything. And given lilies were generally more toxic to animals than humans, Crystal wasn't affected nearly as badly. She can still get sick, it just takes a lot. The sickness affected each monster type differently, with some being more resistant and some being more prone to it. Starting off, those who were affected by it would just be more tired than usual. They might occasionally get headaches or have some minor nausea that they need to deal with. As time went on, they could start getting chills, becoming dizzy if they were moving around too much, could get out of breath a lot faster, and would occasionally deal with coughing and uh, sore throat. Now, mostly that's normally all it is. It's similar to a cold, I guess. It's for most monsters, it's just similar to a cold, where they'll get sick, they'll especially after the medicine uh was kind of created using both Chris's healing magic and something that W.D. Gaster had come up with. Um, that they it wasn't a very, very bad issue for most. However, if it was left untreated for long enough, if there was no medicine, no cure, and this was kind of how it was starting off, um, more symptoms would appear, and the ones that were already there would get worse. The nausea and headaches would get much worse, becoming essentially constant. Sore throats could become complete throat closures, which would cause damage to the vocal cords and, in severe cases, forced mutism. Um, some of the worst cases would result in brain damage, causing reduced motor skills and issues with the other core brain functions. And there have been a handful of cases that have sent monsters into comas, with some passing away after a while, and a few making a few were able to recover, though they would still have a few long-lasting symptoms that had caused permanent damage. The most severe symptom is death, though it is not likely. So it would mostly just be like a cold, but near the beginning, when there was no medicine, no cure, um, mainly at the beginning and during, and for those who were more prone to it for whatever reason, um, there have been probably about a dozen deaths. Um, as of right now, there have been about a dozen deaths. Um, a few different monsters. Nothing too severe. Um, there is one monster who is currently in a coma. One main monster in a coma, I think, that I have to write up. And there's a couple others that are, currently sick. Um, but yeah. So the basic symptoms: headache, drowsiness, chills, minor nausea, dizziness, some breathlessness, and sore throat. And then constant nausea, migraines, total throat closure, vocal cord damage, brain damage, coma, and death. Da-da-da. The monsters, under the rule of Queen Toriel and King Asgore, dug further underground where it was safe. They made a new home there in a sort of burrow style, where there were hundreds of tunnels and pathways leading to different rooms and areas. Everyone worked together, with different types of monsters stepping into different roles that fit their strengths. So, for example, the rabbits, mice, and other kind of burrowing animal monster types took up the digging roles, and were the ones that were mainly digging out all of the all of the tunnels and rooms like they were construction workers. Those that could resist the gas would go up and gather resources, focusing on rescue missions for remaining monsters that may not have made it to the burrows first, and then focused on bringing back everything to essentially relocate. It would mainly just be Sans, Papyrus, and Chris going out, but occasionally Napstablook, Metaton or Hapstablook, and Angstablook, who is Mad Dummy in the original, would help with collection. Sans and Papyrus because they're skeletons and don't technically need to breathe. Chris because she is more resistant to it. And Napstablook, Metaton, and Angstablook because they are ghosts. However, in this, they have, all three of them have robotic forms. Similar to the original Underground, the monsters made different areas within the burrow, mostly keeping the old, different tempered sections. At the top of the burrow was the den, which the den is kind of like the ruins. Below that is the colder section, which is Drifttown, or Snowden, technically. Then there's the Oasis, which is a sort of middle ground. Um, and then lastly is Obsidian City, which is hotter, which is Hotland. Um, Drifttown, or no, I'll start at the den first. The den is also where like the royal castle is. So I say castle, but it's where Queen, King, and Prince Asriel are. Um, At the very top of the den is a magical gate that was created by Gaster as a way to seal off the rest of the burrow, keeping out the gas. Monsters who are allowed out on collection missions are given a special gem that gives them the ability to get through the gas without issue, and then when they come back, any excess fumes are cleaned off of them as to not infect the burrow. So, inhabitants are the royal family, Crystal, who stays in a home with Sans and Papyrus, and Gaster right now. I know I need to go through and add some of the others and all that stuff, but right now, that's that. And then there are different buildings. I'll go into the buildings in a second. Drifttown is the second section of the burrow beneath the den. This is where Napstablook lives. This is where Grilby lives. The doggos, which is just the different dogs. Greater dog, lesser dog, Dogamy, Dogaressa. The blind one. I don't remember his name, but the blind one. The rabbit family, who is like the rabbit family. There was the shopkeep from Snowden. There was the innkeep. There were a couple other rabbits. So, rabbit family and Monster Kid lives here as well. It's my idea for Drifttown is essentially just a bunch of different kind of igloos, I guess. So instead of being more snowy, it is still snowy, but it's all been kind of carved out of ice, I guess, if that makes sense. So it's like the ground would be like an icy brick. All of the dens would kind of look like all of the little shops and burrows would look like igloos. And I just really liked that idea. I thought it was cool, so we're doing that. Next is the Oasis, which is essentially the new waterfall. The third part of the burrow, between Drifttown and Obsidian City. Inhabitants would be Undyne and Alphys, who live together, because while there is some trauma, I want this to be wholesome. And my canon is Undyne and Alphys together. It is what it is. Sorry. The Temmies. The Temmies live here. Angstablook, who was Mad Dummy, River Person, and Gerson. So, and then Shiren's also here. I have, so in the background monsters, I have like the different uh miscellaneous monsters. So it's like here there's gonna be Chiron, Aaron, all that stuff. Or Aaron, all that stuff. Uh but yeah, there's the Oasis. And I thought of the Oasis because this is going further down into the underground. So this is beneath the original. I thought that there were a couple animations and a couple comics I saw and a couple things in the game where it's just you look down over the edge of the waterfalls in Waterfall and it's just an inky blackness, like an inky void beneath. And I like the idea that the waterfalls and all of the water flowing from Waterfall, goes down into the Oasis. So I'm gonna write some more stuff, but I am planning on adding something here in the Oasis in like a little paragraph above this stuff, which I can just bink so that I know I have room to type there. But it'll be something where they make a sort of like water filtrate, maybe not a water filtration system, but like almost like a transport system where if you are up on the surface, there are different kind of waterways and canals all throughout the underground. I really like the idea that they use those, that when they go up on their collection missions, they can put like a protective coating on it, a magical seal on some of the items, or put them in special cases essentially and toss them down the river. And there is a place in the Oasis that can distribute everything. I think that's cool. And then Obsidian City is the lowest part of the burrow below the Oasis. And here is Metaton, Muffet, BP, who is Burger Pants, and Bratty and Caddy. And then Drifttown. Didn't realize I didn't have NC, but NC, and then I'm going to have. I knew I missed someone. But also NC is just the ice cream guy. City and City. So there's Metaton, Muffet, blah blah blah. So the buildings, I'm gonna have written out like all of the buildings, stores, shops, and everything. In Obsidian City, there is the Spider Bakery, it's ran by Muffet. And then there is an inn co-owned and ran by the old MTT Resort receptionist, the hand receptionist that sat there at the desk. The Spider Bakery, there was the one in Hotland, and then there was the little spider area in the ruins where they were selling stuff. So I liked the idea of there being a spider bakery in each area, essentially. So there is one in Drifttown named ran by Kurla. There is one in the Oasis ran by Whaley. And then there is another one in the Den ran by Tuffy. I just thought it was funny. Going off of the nursery rhyme, Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, Tuffy, eating her curds and whey, which is Kurla, who runs the one in Drifttown, and Whaley, who runs the one in the Oasis. I thought it was funny. Then in the Oasis, there is an inn ran by Chiron. Chiron runs that inn, and It is also where she does little concerts here from, between here and there. And then in Drift Town, there is a shop owned by the old shopkeeper from Snowden, part of the Rabbit family. The Nice Cream Parlor, owned by NC, or the Nice Cream Guy. An inn, owned and ran by the old innkeeper from Snowden. So, the old innkeeper from Snowden, who was the sister of the shopkeep in Snowden, um, when everyone went down to the Burrow, as I had kind of said, everyone worked with their own strengths and kind of combined efforts to make everything more, I guess, to make it run smoother, make it more of a full community instead of each of the sections being its own separate thing. Um I really liked that idea. I like the idea of everyone knows what happened. And when they all go down and they're kind of kept in the same spot for a while they're waiting, like, because digging out tunnels and everything, getting everything set up would have taken a while. So I imagine that starting off, the they would have made different burrows in the den, different areas. They would have made some different rooms, essentially. Uh, some that were colder, some that were hotter, like flame monsters like Grilby. I feel like Grilby would have had a place in Snowden that he is able to keep hot and warm for those who are from Hotland. He's able to keep it nice and toasty in certain areas. Grilby has his daughter as well. So it's like him and his daughter would probably run have a bar. He would have Grilby's the bar again. And maybe it would be made into more of a cafe instead of a bar. Like a cafe, like an actual restaurant. Don't know. And then the innkeeper from Snowden and the receptionist from the MTT Resort Hotel worked together. They decided, oh, we both have these hotels, inns that we ran. What if we worked together and actually made something out of it? So it's like now there's all of these different hotels and inns that are owned in each of the different areas, as that, because both of them work together on it. So it's like they both decided to open up and run some. So it's run, the one in Drifttown is ran by the old innkeeper from Snowden. The one in Obsidian City is run by the receptionist from the resort. And the one in Oasis was ran by Shiren. Because she also has, after everything, the monsters needed a little bit of kind of confidence, I guess, of like a confidence boost, morale boost, I guess. And a couple people had heard Shiren, and she started singing to kind of give everyone, just make it a little bit more of a relaxed environment, I guess. Instead of everyone worrying and stressing out, Shiren would sing, and it would help everyone relax or get everyone ready and pumped to work and build and all that fun stuff. And then there is the Spider Bakery ran by Kurla. Da, 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 and then let me think. that is mostly all I have right now. Um, oh, hold on. I gotta fix that. Drift Town. Nope, wrong thing. Uh, Snowdrakes. So I absolutely love Obsidian. That's why I love Obsidian, because with Obsidian, I could just, in all honesty, sit and relax. Like I can go back and I can start working on whatever essentially. Like I can start working on one thing and then just pop over to another area, pop over to another area, pop over to another one. I am very very happy with what I can do with all of this, and it's just it's amazing. I love think I love going back here and just watching all of this, like seeing how everything connects. So it's like in Drift Town, you can see the snowdrakes, the doggos, the miscellaneous monsters, which the miscellaneous monsters are just the smaller ones. Like in here, there's the snowdrakes, the ice caps, gift rot, was one I added. The Oasis, there's Shiren, Aaron, or Aaron, Washua, Mold Small, Mold Bug. Um, in Obsidian City, there's the Vulcan, Sunderplane, Pyrope, the Royal Guards live there, which they're together. Night Knight and Magic are there, and then the Den has the Final Froggets, Whimsun and Whimsalot, Lukes and Astigmatism, Vegetoid, and Migosp. Um, has all of the different monsters and everything. But the Misk monsters are just kind of the ones that you would normally go around and fight. I gotta go through and get all of the other NPC. Sebastian? No. Get off. Fuck off. Go away. No. Go. But it's essentially just all of the miscellaneous little monsters and everything. And I love it. I love it a lot. Um, so that is kind of it for today. I was going to do this yesterday, but I got crossfaded. I had an edible and alcohol, and I'm an adult. I'm 23, so I can do whatever I want. um, I was chilling. I was 100% chilling. Pop that up a little bit, but I'm listening to uh the year the fifth year of Undertale being alive. They did a concert, I guess, and I'm listening to that. But yeah. In my Discord server, if you would like, I made a Burrowtale role. So in the server, if you go to the self roles channel, um, who else? If you go to the self roles channel, um, you can see, um, a category open up that is for Burrowtale. So in that category, I have lore, the character lores, which I'm going to be adding everything. There's fan art, there's questions, and then I put a little thing where you guys, if you want, can show off your own undertaleaus if you have them. Um, you can just go through if you want to. Like if you really want to, you can go through and add like your own AU stuff if you have one. But yeah, I thought it would be cool. I thought it would be nice and interesting. And I'm happy with what I have so far. I really am. Hold on, let me open up this real quick. I genuinely am. I am very happy with how everything looks right now, and I like that I'm able to have this because I can hop and I can pop, and that'll pull that up, then I can pull that back up. I just love seeing everything organized too, and then I can have I have the colors through here. So it's like the background characters are this pinkish color, the areas are yellow, the actual story stuff is red, and the other characters, like actual main characters, are purple. So, all of the actual characters, the story, uh, the areas, all that fun stuff. But yeah, that is it. If you guys want to continue seeing more Burrowtale stuff, you want to start seeing art, designs for everything, let me know. Um, type stuff in, go into the Discord server, which, there will be a invite link to the Discord server. You can find it just by going to my, you can find it by going to my website if you want to. Or, there will be just a link in this description, I think. But, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you for coming to my Foox talk, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.